Hello, this is Alfred Moore. With this is introduction to sociology, module three assignment. We're to make a video explaining some of the theories of sociology. So sociology is very important, and it's a very important study because humans, we like to work in groups, and working in groups, it's good to study human nature so that we can understand the tendencies of human beings, and also be able to understand different factors of human nature, and also to figure out what exactly in human nature can change in order for us to work together, and to reach that goal of utopia. Is what the goal of being a human being and working together is. So based off of that, first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about dramaturgy. So dramaturgy is a very interesting sociological perspective. It essentially states that life is similar to a play or a theatrical performance, and that we're all on stage. According to Torrance 2022, it's developed by the American sociologist Irving Goffman in his seminal 1959 text, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life. Dramaturgy uses the metaphor of theater to explain human behavior. Paragraph 1. In this theory, different individuals in society have different roles. So it's kind of like one person is a protagonist. They're kind of the quote unquote hero of the story. And then we have the antagonist, who is quote unquote the villain of the story. Then you may have, the protagonist love interest, or, people that give advice, or people in supporting roles, or, even, the people who are helping with, the play, who are part of the setup. That's all included in this theory here. Um, Identity management is pretty much based off of earlier roles that have been cast by society that needs to be filled. So these roles in this play always need to be filled, because as the characters move on or move into new roles, those old roles need to be filled, and basically new characters come along and eventually fill those roles in the play, or in the theatrical performance. That's life. So, like, for example, we have the president of the United States. Well, when the president gets too old, or moves on to another job, there'll be another character that has to fulfill that role, that has to take the role in that play, or theatrical performance. So pretty much all roles essentially depend on the audience that the performer is performing to a certain audience, and their role changes based on that dynamic. Teamwork is performed by the backstage, which occurs when others are not around, and then the front stage, where actors are in front of the audience. For theatrical production, a lot of teamwork goes into play, and that's the same thing with society. As society, we have to work as a team in order to move forward and to be successful as well. So, that's really, really important. So another good example of dramaturgy would be a high school fight. I was in a couple of those when I was younger, and at some point, two individuals decide that they're going to meet on the school grounds, and they're going to fight. And once you decide to go ahead with the fight, then it's really, really hard to pull out, because you already have a whole audience, and they have an anticipation, and they have expectations that a fight is going to occur. So at that point, the two actors, or the two individuals that are involved in that theatrical performance, have to go through with the fight, or else they have the fact of disappointing everybody, or letting everybody else down, and that can affect them socially, and kind of move them down the social ranking, if they were to back out, or if they decided that that they weren't going to fight, especially when the audience is there, because it kind of brings them peer pressure, which is one of our you know main social groupings, or aspects of society that affect us early on in life, such as our family, religion, We also have peers, so that's kind of where peer pressure would come in. Um, so then we also have the social construct of reality. So basically, the social concept of reality bases this theory on what is socially acceptable and that most social interactions are dependent on what is currently occurring. So, according to Thomas 2022, how we were raised and what we were raised to believe affect how we present ourselves, how we perceive others, and how others perceive us. In short, our perceptions of reality are colored by our beliefs and our backgrounds, and that be found in paragraph 3. So, in my personal life, I can see how I use the social construct of reality based on my beliefs and backgrounds on what I've learned through life, through personal experience, or with information obtained by others. Um, my personal experience have really shaped my reality of what I've become. I was raised in a house that believed in God. I was raised in a house that believed to follow most laws unless they were unjust. Such as something I always refer to here in America is like the civil rights law. Those laws were placed into effect, but morally and ethically, they were wrong, but they were acceptable to society at some point. So looking at that, it helped me to it it kind of created like a dynamic in my life where if a law doesn't seem to be fair or impartial, I may try to bend those laws or even try to find a way to get around that law if it feels that it's not socially acceptable, in my realm of ethics, morals, culture, and values. Sometimes each society has different rules, laws, and regulations, and being an individual living within that society, we have to make decisions and choices to find out if those rules, laws, principles, and guidelines align with our own personal laws, values. So, like I said, based off my social construct of reality, the way that I was raised is that yes, we do follow laws, but if they're unjust, then maybe we should look into it or figure something else out. Um, Another example is in my life, I've learned that in order to obtain income, I have to work. So I've worked since I was about 16 years old, providing for myself and my family. I was the oldest child growing up. I grew up in a one parent household, so a lot of responsibility was placed on me when I was young. Um, and that has pretty much followed me throughout my whole life as I've always, sought work, to build income. I have a younger brother who grew up in the same household as I, had the same values, same morals, same ethics, raised up exactly the same way. And he is currently serving a prison sentence because he didn't mind trying to get quick money or trying to rob and steal to get money and to get income. And even though we grew up in the same house and had um, a lot of the same um, upbringing, his morals, values, and ethics are just a little bit different. And then last but not least, we have um, what do I think holds society together? So, what I believe holds a society together is basic common sense, morals, ethics, and values. Um, Yilmaz 2010 states, thus, in the essence of society, there are structures and differences which can easily ruin the harmony and balance. However, mankind somehow has established and developed the concept that holds society together. Paragraph 5. And this, to the meaning of this theory to me is that the powers that be have to instill rules, laws, and ethics and guidelines to ensure that society can be successful and that we try to reach, the goal of society, which is utopia. So, you know, with that being said, the government and the powers that be feel that there needs to be rules, laws, and ethics guidelines into play to kind of keep people from getting a fast track or overthrowing them to start a new regime or having a coup d'état. So here in the United States, the power used to be instilling rules, ethics, and guidelines. Example would be like the United States of America, right? So when the Europeans came and settled, they conquered the land, making America a country. And once the European settlers came, they traded items for lands with the natives that were currently living here. Due to the natives' cultures, values, and ethics, they did not have any claim to the land. They did not place any value on the land. So what they end up doing is the Europeans, had value for the land, and they used deeds to purchase virtually all the land with paperwork and rules that were followed and respected in their culture, but it wasn't necessarily respected in native culture. So that was one way that power was sent over, and then after those deeds were created, Native Americans could not go back and get the deeds and get their land back. So it just kind of goes to show how the powers to be were able to use their social ethics, values, and culture to overthrow another social group, and that created a conflict, and that's even felt today with Native Americans. Um, Another similar is the history of Africans and the slave trade, where slaves were transported to America to provide free labor while working on plantations for no wages. Um, and once the Civil Rights Act happened and the slaves were freed, there were no social structures to assist African Americans to assimilate into the market as jobs were decreased. And this was due to a new workforce entering the job market with all the freed slaves. This issue had caused the conflict that is felt today with African Americans seeking compensation for centuries of free labor at the hands of plantation owners. These injustices are examples of how the powers that be can keep their power without fear of the working class overtaking them. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.